So, let me introduce our next speaker, Arje Nachman, from the Air Force Office of Scientific Research. Dr. Nachman has basically joined AFOSR as a program officer back in 1985. At the same time, I went to AFOSR. I think you got 33 years at AFOSR. I'm September. I had about 32 years at NSF. And his portfolio includes basically physical math and later electromagnetics. He earned his PhD in mathematics from NYU, right here in town. He has an applied mathematics from Washington University, St. Louis. His training is more focused on linear, nonlinear differential equations, together with various techniques for finding or approximating their solutions. Together, his publications examine problems in fluid mechanics, combustion, elastic, viscoelastic mechanics, electromagnetics, and he was the recipient of the exemplary civil service award bestowed by the Department.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. So, try to give you some overview of the Air Force Office of Scientific Research. One of the things that we were told this morning was that the Office of Naval Research was established by Congress in the late 40s. It's interesting to note that neither the Army Research Office nor the Air Force Office of Scientific Research are established in law. And they can be decommissioned by their services at any time they want. Only the Office of Naval Research is established by law. Or we should want that. It's an interesting sideline on our business. Anyway, let's see if this works. So we do, as it says there, we manage basic research and invest in the United States Air Force. What that really means is that we are the Air Force's sole source of 6.1 money. All our core money is 6.1. We handle sometimes 6.2 money. We can be agents for DARPA and R. We can be agents for the rest of our research lab, of which we are a part. They can send us 6.2 money as soon as it arrives at 6.1 in the sense of how we manage it. But our own core money is 6.1, so we fund nothing classified. And not even with the 6.2 money we get, we simply don't accept those things. The vast majority of our grants go to universities, and they are grants, they're not contracts. We get proposals from non-educational entities, whether it's Northrop Grumman or something else. We generally write contracts. Sometimes it's irrelevant, but not always. There are legal differences between grants and contracts. Most of that is transparent, irrelevant to the people who give them. But we have not so many of those. And we do, our BAA is published in principle once a year on October 1. That hasn't really literally been true for a long time. So there's slippages, and sometimes we let them slip around a while. But the BAA, which you can find by going to our website, is a collection of narratives. I'm in it, if you look under electromagnetics. And it's notional. We do not want to discourage any kind of new ideas. So we kind of describe what we've been investing in. That's all we can describe. And hope that great new ideas come in anyway. It's very important, in my experience, that we proceed. Don't send us a proposal out of the clear blue sky, although you legally can. That you should start by contacting whichever program officer you think is the best match for what you're marketing, and at least send them white paper, email them one. Some thought is given to that. Once we get a formal proposal, we do send it out for peer review. Nothing is funded without peer review. In that sense, we're sort of like Anna said, the peer review is different in that our peers are advisors, we're not bound by their findings like the NSF seems to be. We don't necessarily put together panels. Each program officer sends each proposal out to whichever subject matter expert he or she deems to be the most, and there's generally about 3 of them. And then we make decisions. And then we run out of money, we stop making decisions. There's no legal time frame in the BAA, although sometimes program officers will have some new idea to make a BAA of their own on, and that may well be time limitation on it. Well, we got 1,350 U.S. research grants. Do we favor one set of university or the other? No, at least I don't. I tend to look, I judge people on intellectual horsepower. I don't care where you are. I have a few principal investigators that are 4-year colleges. We don't have a particular 4-year college funding money set aside. We don't have any money set aside actually except for the HBCU MI program, which by law or Air Force policy we must have, and we do. It's not as big as the Army's. All 3 services, ONR, the AFOSR, and the ARO, have money set aside for HBCU MI. I believe the Army's is sort of lead basic research organization when it comes to the HBCU MI. But that doesn't mean they have all of it. We have some money of our own, which is fenced off from the money that Congress gives us. Nevertheless, there's a big difference in how much ARO has, whether that comes out of their core money or whether Congress gives it separately. I really don't know. I review proposals from them. They do that too. So we have 1,600 principal investigators. We keep telling our management one of the big advantages for us, and that's true for all the 6-1 agencies and for NSF, is the graduate students. We have no requirement that graduate students be U.S. citizens. Graduate students at a U.S. degree granting institution, preferably doctorate granting institution, I don't have fun. Institutes that master's degrees when they could. But if the students are there, then they get to be funded under the professor, citizen or not. The same is true. The same is true of the professors themselves. They're out of these 1,600 principal investigators, I would suspect. Some of them have green cards, some of them with this, that, the other. That's not our business. The university hired them. They're either research professors or tenure track professors or tenured professors. It's not our business. Once the proposal comes, we afford the same shop. We do the same things to it. So there's none of that going on either. But we could explain, when Ray has to, that this sort of thing, is in everybody's best interest. It produces the scientists of the next generation. And those that aren't U.S. citizens have a good reason to stay here. It's really a good investment. The NSF would make the same claim, probably do, as to how to defend spending taxpayers' money on non-U.S. citizens because they often become U.S. citizens. So would you have a number there? FY15 is kind of unusual. It was a good year. FY16 is okay. The last couple of years have been real tight for various reasons. Last year and this year both, we got our real budgets late, very late in Congress. We sat around and did whatever we wanted to do. And when that happens, I don't know about the NSF, but in our world we get some money that sort of pegged it at some percentage of the previous year's budget. So we just kind of run along. When that happens, we fund mortgages. So it becomes harder for these grants to get in. We do them sometimes. One of the exceptions to that is we do have a young investigator program, which is it's paid for by our core money, but it's core money that our management sort of pulls back, keeps for that purpose. And they do fund those people, even in a bad year. so that we can have something in the pipeline. There's no guarantee after the 3-year young investigator program that that person's going to get into the regular corps. That's the business of the program officer, as is the choosing of the young investigator themselves. Our manager doesn't do that because he sets aside money. All those things are done by program officers. Well, why the Air Force does the same reason the Army and the Navy does, because there are things that come along that we need to jump on. And you see they identify certain people in physics, chemistry. We get our share of the two. But the Navy can say the same thing, and I suspect the Army can say the same things. I should say that the money we get that goes out the door, which is not all the money we get, because our salaries come out of the money that Congress gives us, and so does the rent for the 2 floors in our building. We are co-located with the Office of Naval Research, and it's down the street from Dartmouth on the line. So things come out of that. But eventually there's a certain amount of money that just regards money that the science is supposed to get. And we, on average, send 70% of that to what we call extramural projects, and around 30% to fund basic research within the Air Force Research Lab. And maybe there's there you go. So the Air Force Research Lab is a larger organization. It's headquartered right at Patterson Air Force Base, which is in Dayton. And there's 9 units, and you can see that way down over there, there we are. The other 8 technical directorates, their core money is 6.2 to 6.3, and they are doing things that the Air Force, thinks is going to come through the pipeline a lot faster. We keep telling everybody, including ourselves, that we fund research, which is for the Air Force of tomorrow, whenever tomorrow comes. It's 10 years, 20 years, we try to fund stuff that we don't want to be eating our own seed corn. Nevertheless, and I repeat, we are the organization whose core money is 6.1. We are the unfettered science funding. And they have their own business to do, but we want to encourage some new ideas going on in the labs, and we do that by, we get proposals from them, we send them out for lead. There's no secret backdoor channel where they get our money. That never happens. Right now, they send us proposals, we send them out for review. By the way, I want to also mention, when I choose these 2 or 3 reviewers for any particular proposal, they're not necessarily government employees. In fact, most of the time they're not. They're just scientists that I know, and they're not necessarily in the United States either. That's somewhat unusual, but I can pick reviewers anywhere I want, and we can get proposals from anywhere we want. Not North Korea, not Iran, there's a few others that we're never going to get anything from, at least not in the foreseeable future. But we can fund professors virtually every country we want. And we, in fact, like the Navy and the Army, we have satellite offices. Right now we have 3 of them. One in London, which the Navy has as well, and maybe the Army, I think also. I think they're all co-located. One in Tokyo, same kind of thing. They fund things in that area, which includes Australia, and so forth and so on. And recently one, in Santiago, Chile. So we fund everything below the Rio Grande should come to that office first. We occasionally co-fund with them. We occasionally fund the second year when they do the seed funding the first year. There's all sorts of variations on that theme, but we have them. We can fund professors anywhere. And there are graduate students in those 4 universities. So we have the money. Generally those grants, nowhere near as, we want to call it generous, since our money is almost a 10 or something. They're not as generous, but we can provide a little bit of funding for professors and students in those foreign countries. And sometimes that's all, because in some instances, they do research which is a bargain, especially if they're really good and smart guys, and it doesn't cost much money. But anyway, the tech directors are identified there. Some of them, I guess, you can see that their business is obvious. The munitions director, for example, is not in Dayton. It's down the panhandle of Florida, at England Air Force Base. It's a huge, England Air Force Base is a huge base because they like to test cruise missiles and blow them up. So they have to go many, many miles away and blow up safely. So then it's all on government land. You don't really attack the rest of Florida. But that's where the munitions director is. Directed energy comes in two flavors. One of them is the laser that's pictured there. The other one's high power microwave. And that technical director is located in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's on Kirtland Air Force Base. And their business is what the Air Force desperately wants and gotten yet, which is really first class directed energy weapons. But they do what you think they do, the direct high power microwaves do mischief to lethal circuits, which is exactly what you want. It's hard to bring down an upcoming surface to air missile. If you're a pilot and you see one coming out, it'd be nice to be able to confuse its guidance system. So you can do that at the speed of light if you have a pretty good weapon to do that. And that's one of the reasons that we found those things. Materials and manufacturing is exactly what stated is. That is in Dayton. They are trying to do the new materials, including stuff for hypersonics and a hell of a lot of other things. Sensors is in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They are the director that I do the most business with, although I do some business with the director. I do my electromagnetics portfolio as wave propagation through complex media as one of the sub areas. That includes trying to image through clouds and foliage. There's not that much of it in the Middle East at the moment, but when President Clinton was fighting with the Kosovo and those countries, they would pull all their assets into their overall force and twist them, especially if you wanted to do it at 500 miles an hour and see what's down there. So looking through challenging media is part of the Air Force's work. The clouds also stop laser guided weapons need the laser guidance. There's a cloud over there, you can't use it. That's when I do business with the direct energy. Aerospace systems, it's huge. That jets and this and that and the other, airplanes themselves, formable wings and all kinds of other things that the Air Force would like tomorrow or even today. And there is a human performance wing. There are people at AFOSR that fund, as was mentioned, biologically and sociologically relevant research. Not a lot. In fact, there's less than 3 dozen program officers, and one of the oldest ones that they're around, and hire people as we do. We hire them principal permanently. As opposed to dark, we don't have contracts. We just have research areas which change from time to time because management thinks they should. They make up new ones and get rid of old ones. But there's something to be said for longevity in terms of knowing who and the other 8 technical directors you should reach out to with any success stories that come your way from the principal investigators at your funding. And those take a long time to set up. So here's a lot of us have these kind of charts as scientific partners. The standard sort of partnerships that you like about, that you think about the AFOSR Overview. We're probably never been dark. I had one of these in the middle. We'd be on the other edge of that thing too. These are also standard, and we deal with some of them. I do from time to time deal with, for example, NRO, there probably. But we do talk to those people, tell them what they're doing. They don't tell us whether they like it or not, or whether they're going to use it or not. That's classified, that's not our business. But we do outreach to them as well, and the next security. So here's the locations, as I said. The San Diego is, I think it's a 2-man operation. London and Tokyo are quite big. And people actually are very interested in getting it to spend 3 to 5 years London or Tokyo. That may haven't mentioned something that we send people there. A lot of their time is spent traveling around, meeting professors there, but we can't, although we could. So here's a little bit about that. Established 2017, so over 10 years ago. And the London office is the oldest because we right away wanted to reach out to Europe, which was being built up again after World War II. So there's an international SAT strategy, but basically it's the same SAT strategy as our SAT strategy, which is awareness, engagement, and relationships. We do the same thing with, and as I'm going to repeat, while most of the foreign proposals do come to those satellite offices, it's not necessary. We can simply accept what most people want to from any place else. That's just the way we do business. We certainly do look to fund transformational ideas, and basically why we're there. And I want to repeat, whatever we've written in our BAA is notional. Gives you an idea of what that particular program office has happened to be funding. That's all he or she can write. Some of the big surprises can't possibly be written in those areas. We don't know what they are. And I'm a big believer in the progress in science should be made by the scientists. Sure as hell should be made by me. If we start doing that, we're going to get exactly what we advertise for, and that would be a disaster for the progress of science. That's why I start joking around. People go look at this and do that stuff. But we do what other agencies are funding well. We are autonomous, which is what the yellow bar is. We're given money. Well, and for all practical purposes, we spend it as we like, and deal with questions and white papers and this and that and the other as we like, and choose reviewers as we like. None of that is interfered with by our management. Autonomy is very important. And we very rarely put out special BAAs, excluding, for example, URIs, which is a special BAA, Dura, which is a special BAA. They do have deadlines, and if you don't get a proposal in by that deadline, our lawyers will not accept it. Because there is in writing, in public, you can't accept it. And I don't know how many people try to wait until the last minute and then discover that the system is going to crash, and they won't accept it, and you're dead. You should not, make some virtue of sending it in 10 minutes before the deadline. It's insane. Nobody has ever understood what people do, and you shouldn't do it here either. You need to send those in a few days early. So you might have to do it several times before it works. Because you cannot help it. On the core money, we have no deadlines. So if you're not doing it today, you do it tomorrow. It's okay. You got it. So we do get strategic guidance, and the Air Force, we reassure the Air Force that we are listening to guidance from the 4 stars all the way down to what it is they think they want or wish they had or this or that or the other. Nevertheless, we sometimes come to them with these crazy ideas, and they're very receptive to them, even though they know what the wars are going to be doing in the future, or at least a little bit. And we do try to accommodate that, which is we still try to accommodate completely new ideas as best we can. That's what that second to last bullet says: defense budget priorities. The defense budget sometimes makes that painfully clear. But some of the ones that you see there are some of the guidance that we do read that we're expected to. But like I said, it isn't handcuffs, it's just simply guidance. And I mentioned this before, intramural is what we call our lab tasks. And extramural are the everybody else. And everybody else gets the lion's share of our available budget, so 70%. And intramural programs that sometimes have university partners that be done right, it's the other 30%. We do have programs in SIVRs, SCTRs, SIBR is a small business in innovative research. It was started by Reagan. And some years later, they decided to fool with it, and they made a version of it called STTRs. There's one big difference between SIBRs and STTRs, and it was made to accommodate the research, the 6-1 agencies, and the big difference is that the bottom part of the budgets are the same as far as I know. The bottom line of the budget in an STTR, 30% of it has to go to a university subcontractor. We did that because we wanted our research to be transitioned, and in most cases, the university that did the research that alerted us that this was transitionable stuff is reached out to by somebody. There is no requirement on SIBRs that that be the case. Can be the case, but then the company has to voluntarily do it. But nevertheless, it's one of the I guess what you call transition. Besides trying to transition 6-1 research through our labs, which is we also try to transition it to talk about anybody else that will give us a hearing that we think we have something that isn't only pie in the sky. And one of them is this SIBR's STTR program. And so that is, we have I don't remember how many topics we get each year, 10, whatever it is, that's what we try to do. They're under the control of the program officers too, at AFOSR. We make up the topic, we advertise it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The reviewers, by the way, of those were not inclusive people. We only govern people who review STTRs, since it's a direct competition. So, let's see what else do I do. So here's some of the other things I've also talked about. There are such a thing as mirroring. Ours is identical to the Army and Navy. I mean, they're actually run out of the Pentagon office. And they're the source of the money. And they ship us the money. But we are the ones who cook up the topics. They sort of bless them and say, okie dokie, and they become public. There is a deadline, et cetera, et cetera. There is a winner. Professor Lou, who's from City University, that is about to get a Miri from me. That's public knowledge. And he's the first in City University. That's true. You think so? Yes. So these are large. Miris are generally in about $100 million a year for 5 years. That's how that works. So $1.5 million from AFOSR is not something you're likely to get from core money. It doesn't mean we can't do it. It's just generally we don't have the money to do it. $1.5 million would be a fourth of my budget. So I ain't gonna do it. But it is money, that's the kind of money that this Pentagon office has. But there's still 6-1. There's still universities, there's still grants. So forth and so on. DURUP is only research instrumentation. You cannot fund anybody's salary through a DURUP award. And the research, the word research there, that money is also from the same Pentagon office. That's 6-1 money. So the research that people claiming that they want to buy equipment to do itself has to be 6-1 research. Can't be research at banana peeling, this stuff. We'll show our undergraduates how to do bananas. That ain't gonna win. It has to be 6-1 research. It doesn't necessarily have to be 6-1 research that we're currently funding. It has to be something that we think is respectable. So, but both of those have time limits on it. The YIP also has. I know the Navy has a program that maybe has the same initials, YIP. I'm not sure about the Army, but I think they do. But the Air Force Young Investor Brigade Research Program exists. It's how old it is now. It's not as old as we are. But it's a grant. It's 6-1 money. It's our core money. The winners are chosen by program officers. It's a 3-year grant, like most of our grants are, although we're legally have the right to write grants for up to 5 years. I don't know if there are any such limits around. We do. Nevertheless, most of them are 3, and each year is no exception, and it just gets some of the star young people, and by the way, Andrea was a kid when I found him. So he's done well. He's managed to metamorphose himself into a full professor and this and together. And he's a success story. But there's nothing other than time limit. And the Young Investigator Program does have to be U.S. citizen is fine, but I think a green card is okay. But if you're not one of those two, you can't send in. And there's some time limit on it. You can't have had your PhD 5 to 7 years maybe now. There are, you read the rules and you'll see what that is. And as I said, there's HBCUMI, there's 3 of them that I know of, and the Army is the biggest one, but we have. And the way that works, by the way, at least at the Air Force, at AFOSR, is proposals come to me, and then I alert the guy, Ed Lee, who's titularly in charge of HBCU in my budget. And I say, I have a proposal from an eligible school. You have money that's available this fiscal year? And he says, yes or no. If no, then I can fund it with my own money. But that's all the difference there is. The scientific oversight is with the program officers at AFOSR, not with the office that does the spreadsheet, keeps the budget. But we have it. The National Research Council, yeah, that's been recompeted. I don't know if the National Research Council won, but we do have a postdoc program, which I never see about. Those are, that money is ours. That's once again comes from our core budget. We contract the National Research Council to get proposals and to rack them and stack them. But the winners have to go to one of those other 8 technical directives. And for that reason, they have to be U.S. citizens now, because the Air Force has taken a pretty draconian position. I used to be green card, come on base and work every day. That's not going to be the case. Nevertheless, that is the National Research Council, whoever has it now, which I guess will be revealed at some point. I don't know who the new winner is, assuming there is a new winner. We do have a postdoc program, and this is it. And it's for people to go to the labs, and hopefully they get excited to stay there. The labs, make up their own minds, and they choose the winners. We have nothing to do with it. We simply provide the money. And same thing with the very last bullet. There is a SFFP. Once again, we're the source of the money, but this time we contract some little company to do it because these people also can't be government employees. They're employees of the company. This is for faculty, and once again, because of the new restrictions, this is for faculty who are citizens to come and spend summer at one of those other 8 directorates, technical directorates. And if they have U.S. students, they can drag with them, make a case for it. They can win that much money. But the winners are not chosen by the NRC, as is the case. One bullet above. The winners are chosen by the technical directors. The only thing AFOSR does is we put up the money and give it to this company, and then all the dealings turn that way. But they're successful, of course. Once again. Sometimes these summer faculty people are funded directly by the tech directors who are so happy with them to get in 6-2 money, which the University of China doesn't care about what color it is. Or sometimes these summer faculty people are so successful that they have to get money from us. But it's a way of once again, partnering technical directorate needs for intellectual horsepower with the academic community. Spend 1 or 2 summers in the labs and let's see what you can make of it. Okay, so this is also I said earlier, please do not send this proposal out of the glitter blue sky. It's a very poor success rate. It generally annoys people because we have to deal with it formally. It is now a real submission. We can't just ignore it. We can turn it down. That's one of the ways we can decline things right away. But do send us white papers and so forth. And then we will sort of encourage a full proposal. The full proposal, I assume you know, has to go, can't be sent to us directly, it has to go through grants.gov, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then it comes to us. As I said, it can be up to 5 years, and we look at it all over the place, and we do send it out for review, and that's part of the, when I write up something for review, I have to mention what the reviewer said about it. And here they are, I said, I hold them all sometimes. And I also, if they're unsuccessful, as NSF does, I copy large portions of the review without revealing the name of the person I sent it to the unsuccessful unsuccessful supplement. Right? So he or she can know why this didn't get anywhere with me. And there's the website. You can find out all of these things. And if it looks like it's a very old BAA, so what? Just because we haven't gotten around to doing it. These things aren't really don't have much of a turnaround time. A lot of these notions that program officers write don't change from year to year, but once in a while they do change. So we put it in to get that change. Am I done? Oh, that's interesting. We put up a list, as Congress asked us, or maybe as our management asked us, about the number of grants in any particular state. And you can see the Californias of the world and the Massachusetts of the world are pretty successful. Nevertheless, there's a zero. People can find based on how compelling and interesting, innovative proposals are. Now, this is AFOSR itself. Colonel Treywig is right now our basic research chief. She's not the director of AFOSR, but she's the chief of program officers. We have 2 big units, engineering and information sciences, and on the other side, physical and biological sciences. I'm somewhere second from the right. You can see down there where it says electromagnetics, that would be me. So we have 4 units. This is all sort of internal dealings. It's irrelevant. You have to find yourself the best you can, and get a hold of these people. Some of these things are built up this way because the Air Force has a limit as to how many people anybody else can be boss of. So they're great things as needed. So right now we have these 4 stovepipes, which that's been that way for a while now. So here's a summary. We are the Air Force's. I sometimes do tell people that we are the Air Force's NSF. We are so many different things we know and are. They mixed up their 6.62 better. It's not. The Army is probably a little closer to us. We're smaller and money. But this is it. We all of our money 6.1 proceed that way. So maybe to let lunch in.
So we have some time, this lunch has arrived yet, so we have some time.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I'm happy to field questions if I confused you. I'm happy to yes, sir. Can you do it on your microphone?
Yes, I have. What do you mean by white paper? Can you describe?
You can think of it as a mini proposal, but I mean, you need to capture the real research ideas that you want to. So a lot of people send me white papers that are full of platitudes. It doesn't work. What I need are something like really say, yes, this looks like a really keen idea. And sometimes that's pretty much what the proposal is. But I guess what I want to re-emphasize
the difference? I have an idea.
So,
So,
not a hell of a lot of difference. The white paper should contain enough of the ideas that would appear in the proposal for me and to get a good idea that you're doing what I regard as really, or I can get back and say, this is done, like I've never done it, and try again. A respectable percentage of what might appear in your proposal is probably what would be a good record.
so this labeled white paper?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can't send white papers to grants I got. Send it to me directly. I'm somewhere in that system, I have an email. That's, part of that difference is I don't want to deal with you officially, especially if you sign something off. Then I have to actually decline it, decline goes through your business office, and now they know that, you send your proposal and there's a decline a day later. So you want to avoid that kind of stuff, and I don't want to deal with it either. I like to deal with it unofficially, collegially, and that's why we are letting you keep modifying it, messing around. You send me something that's all flat, I think I'll say so. There's nothing in here that looks like basic research. Facts, take what you really want to communicate to me. That kind of stuff. It's just something we encourage, to cut down the number of official proposals that we turn down. I've turned down a lot of things that might be that I never see. You can't think of whatever it is that I'm looking for, they can't figure it out, and that's it. But at least there's no paper trail that said they sent me something, I turned it down right. And that helps everybody. Even our Air Force management is not happy that we get a lot of declines. They want to know what the hell is going on. Well, if the white paper, there's no paper trail declines. I just get back to you somehow. Chat about it.
So the success rate of NSF varies between 16-17% and 25%, depending on the program. What's the success rate at
Yeah, ours is higher because we get rid of stuff at the white paper. So if I'm telling you that it's okay to send me home a proposal, you may not win money because I may not be as sharp in debunking the original research ideas as the people I'm eventually going to send your proposal to. So you may be declined anyway, but less likely. So at least you're in the starting blocks because I told you to be. So that's yes, it's much bigger.
That's my understanding,
Yeah.
because there's more of a sifting process going through
And there's no paper.
Yeah.
So our lack of success rate here is basically all of this white paper stage, and unfortunately, that's our way of keeping the rest of the world at bay in some sense instead of looking at how bad things are. It's hard to get. It is hard to get funded by any of these seasons, but we try to add stuff in the bud.
I should say about NSF, because the review process at NSF was discussed. NSF program officers do have leeway. But the way they handle it, the way NSF program officers handle it, is there is a formal process. You go through the reviews are submitted. Program officer respects the judgments of the panel. But at that point, there is a portfolio balance that can occur. So an NSF program officer can evaluate the proposal, the recommendation from the panel. And then it may want to make some changes at the end, make some changes to balance the portfolio. For example, too many men, not enough women they'll do that. Sometimes geographic balance across the country. So there's a little bit of that does occur. So that gives a little bit leeway to the program officer to adjust.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. Yes. I don't mind. You're welcome to make those suggestions. Sometimes
Can you repeat the question?
The question was, if you find it favorable,
do I care whether the
recommend
PIs recommend their reviewers? And I'm not, I don't stop them. I couldn't if I wanted. You can send me emails with a bunch of names on it, with your email addresses, and say, these people know what I'm doing at that time. They do that in terms of I don't guarantee I'll use it. But I don't do. I'm not ashamed if you have the, audacity to suggest some things, we find, I think I'm speaking for all of my colleagues. Sometimes I can use it. Especially if you have to pick one that I know I like. I'm liable to want to use that one anyway. So, it doesn't affect me. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What's the typical award size, and does it change if you have multiple? What's typical award size, and does it change if you have like 2 or 3 PIs on it instead of just a single?
Okay. Yeah, there's I suppose the typical award I make is, first of all, my electromagnetics portfolio is not sort of like chemical Armies and Navies. I'm a theorist. I'm a PhD. So if you read the narrative under electromagnetics that I wrote, just about the first sentence says, this portfolio supports the interrogation of Maxwell's equations. It doesn't support you screwing circuits together or building lasers. I don't know what I'm doing in those areas, and I can't fund it because that would be outrageous for me to fund it. How that works. And I don't know the community I would send with such proposals. So I don't. So $100,000 goes a long way to mathematicians because they basically need pencil and paper. And mostly what I get are PIs and students or postdocs. Now, as far as partnerships goes, it depends sometimes on. Well, here's how that works. If you have one or more universities as a subcontractor to your university, then your university will charge overhead on the first $25,000 of that second university's total. So that depends on whether I have, and your overhead is generally 50 or more percent, so it depends on whether I think just saying $12,500 of taxpayer money is a good idea, and whether I have it, because that's what it basically amounts to. Your university will get another $12,500 to mess around with the subcontractors. And the only program I know where I don't care about that is the Murids. They're built that way. And the money's $1 million. And so, but they still do charge. They do the very same thing on a Murid that they do on a core grant. The lead university charges 50% overhead on the first $25,000 of each other university. Ask Dr. Alou how that works. You got 4 of them. But that's not my core, and that is how the Murid is that kind of animal. So I certainly don't get into that. It would be outrageous for me to object, since that's exactly what's encouraged. But for my core money, I guess it just depends on but there's something that balances that, and something that balances it is that if I, in order to save myself $12,500, the other university can send more or less the same proposal by themselves. Then I have to screw with 2 proposals, and my contracting office has to. So the question is, how much more bureaucracy am I willing to sit still for, or is this $12,500 and sufficient for a penalty, and I'll do it and run one grant? But then that university will be the grant owner. You will be the PI of all of it. So does that answer your question? Yes, I have a few of those. So once in a while I go for that. If I think that the stars are aligned or the planets are aligned. And I think that $100,000 is the right answer. Maybe it's more. I have $6 million. I don't think I have. No, I'm not sure. I don't have 60. But I have some grants, some small 4-year college places where 35, 40,000. I have others that are $500,000.
Per year or
Per year. Yeah. Now overall, it's hard to say because, like I said, even though most grants are 3 years long, some of them are 5. So that tends up to add up to a healthy amount of money to all of them. But I have, per year, I have grants that are over $500,000. I also have grants that are less than 10% of that. So some of these 4-year colleges, they're graduate students to be spoken about.
PI's happy with summer funding money and some travel money, and those are all standard requests. Unlike NSF, I used to know the math group at NSF limited PIs to 2 summer months for years.
You still, the limit is still 2
We don't.
months, 2 summer months.
There's no legal mandate within AFOSR that I only fund 2 summer months at any time. I generally limit myself to summer money, but if you need all 3 months and I like what you do, I can some summer money. I don't, depends on my budget, how much I like to focus on this stuff. But we have no upfront declaration. A little bit of our money is spent on workshops, some of the large professional societies, like IEEE. Others are, not. Sometimes the school wants its own workshop. Not much money spent because it takes away from a regular grant. I mean, it's all part of my core. If I send $10,000 to AFOSR, it's $10,000 you ain't gonna get. I don't have it anymore. It depends on how badly I want to participate in a workshop. But we can do it. Somewhere on that website, I'll tell you the proposals for workshops. Some restrictions on funding honoraria. That can't do this, can't do that, but they are acceptable. You figure. Conferences. I don't pay too much. All I'm telling you is that I fund those when I funded everything else I want. And if I have a few $1,000s left, then, I have something that I want to throw it at it that way, I will.
So how about existing grants? How do you handle if somebody wants a supplement to existing grants? Is that something?
Add money to it? Oh, yes.
Add money to existing grants?
We have, it's called an additional work effort. And it can not only be extra money within those 3 years, it can sometimes produce the 4th year. But that's not good, the grants that go. It goes to grants already in place. You send that to grants that go, you'll start a whole bureaucracy which you never started. Yes, we have an additional work effort, and very rarely, unlike NSF, we have a real indigestion with no-cost extensions. You don't want them. By and large, we think it's generally laziness on the part of the PI to give the money to spend. Oh, I got $10,000. I said, we better figure out how to spend it now before the thing, because I can. Our contracts are very annoying. They have to rewrite everything to put a new terminate date on it. Blah blah blah. It can be done. And if your lab burned down, then I'm willing to be sympathetic, and I go through all the nonsense I have to go through to get you a no-cost extension. But it's just, I lost track of the money, or the student got a little extra money during the year, and I won't. And if it really comes down to it, and they can't figure out what to do, you have to write a check to the U.S. Treasury, $10,000. That's what you have left at the end of the grant. There's no way of getting around it. I don't know if anything's ever happened to the other side, but it happened with us. So you have to do the PI, you have to do what you really PI should be doing, making sure that money's being spent. If you have subcontracts, you have to worry about them too. But yes, we have a way of putting more money on it. I have done that. That's legitimate. Sometimes new ideas come up, or this and that and the other, and they're not happy to do it.
NSF usually doesn't want to give money back to the treasury, so they'll give you no cost extension, no problem. But what NSF will do, if you haven't spent your money, it won't give you your next year's installment, so you'll have to wait until you get any additional funding. So they'll hold off on providing you funding that you're expecting.
Ours are in this around. Generally, those 3 years are written sort of distilled in mortgages. And so those, if you haven't spent your first year's money, but starting your second, there's no, it's seamless.
It's seamless. So your NSF money is 2-year money. So if you don't spend NSF money within the, it's basically, if you're obligated, You have 2 years to spend the money that's been
Ours
outlined.
is 2-year money too, but I'm, the way we said it, I thought all 3 years was, but maybe I'm wrong. Nevertheless, we generally scout it in the real grant termination.
So one more question. What impact does this wave of big data science, machine learning, is it affecting the kinds of research you're funding, the level of funding?
Sure, we're the Air Force is engaged by the act, I guess, as the rest of any funding, the rest of the government, it becomes a big problem. Nevertheless, I won't fund the pedestrian approaches. If you want something really good, an amazing new idea to contribute to the big data problem, we're happy to give you listen and make you fund it. But that in itself, just writing big data is brain frightness and funding you. It still has to be, compelling, original, research ideas. But boy, I mean, if you have one, you can certainly land on your feet real quick. With us, or the Navy, the Army, or I don't know what. The Army has projects, right? We don't. Like I said, nothing that I write, and nothing that anybody writes in our BAA is meant to be some kind of definitive or limited. We say, if you have a new idea, send us a white paper on it. Just because you don't see it and whatever, that means I'm dumb, and you figured out something new, and I'd like to see it. I can only put down things that I'm sort of familiar with, which is what I've been funding for the past few years, and it sort of reflect some of the things the Air Force is concerned about. For example, I mentioned in the talk that imaging through nasty media, forests, clouds, this, that, the other, through soil, one of the tunnels. That's nasty media. The weather is the worst off because I've been working that. So we try to reflect all of that in what we're writing. That's about it. By all means, that is anything that looks like the white paper will get me excited and not convince me that you're trying to dredge up some project. But yeah, there's lots of things that are hypersonics is one of the Air Force's latest enthusiasm. We're trying to got really behind it. Yeah, that's right. That didn't used to be the case. He's still funding, it's just he's going. But and there are a few others that sort of are overarching. And then from that guidance paper, that slide, I mentioned things that we should, if we're smart, be able to tell the Air Force, yes, we do have investments in these. They may not look exactly like you think because they're new ideas, but they are, in fact, supportive of some of these large topics like this. It doesn't maybe look that way. Just let me tell you why they are. That's how we do it.
So when you issue your BAAs, are you focused on a specific thematic area?
No,
disciplinary area, or is
no.
it very broad?
No such thing. There are 30 areas, however many program officers or portfolios we have. Each portfolio has an area written by somebody, program officer. And that program officer is still there. Some of them there's writing and there's no program officer when they're retired. That sort of is the notional, kind of, that's the starting. They're good if you don't get a hold of many. But no, there's 30 narratives, and they may mention some of these overarching things. And encourage you to try to find somebody that might be interested in that. You're supposed to read sort of what we book. It'll give you a better idea. For the last couple of years, I remember whatever we can think about, we've been funding this, I can do something.
So you mentioned that most program officers are career folks in AFOSR. And as of course, you have rotators and you have.
We used to have more rotators than we do now.
Both. But you don't have any rotators? Do you have any fellowships or any opportunities for faculty to stay?
I don't, right, we don't have any rotators now. We used to have quite a few 30 years ago. Then they got stopped. They got restarted, and it was hard to say, but no, and we generally, lately have been hiring permanent people who are going to be made civil servants. But we used to have active program officers. We certainly have active people up and down our hall. They don't have any job. They're not getting a portfolio in. That was probably, we still required to have PhDs. And they're around, but they're not parts of many as we used to be. So that's but we have, there's an exception. The London, Tokyo, there are officers, we're sure they all have PhDs. There are program officers in London, Tokyo, and some civilians. Some of them come from our lab and they like, bounce around the Far East or Europe. And we used to give them 3 years, 5 years. It's a maximum involved. I don't know if it's wrong. There's a maximum 5 years disability. Then they go back, or they hire, they go back to their practical director. If we hire. But yeah, you're right. I should have been, we do have real officers in those places. Yes.
Do you have any funding priorities that are related to social science that you're really trying to push right now?
No,
or
I think
psychology
so, but I'm not. We have people that are in that end of the business. I thought that maybe that would be up to. Let's see, am I still up? Somewhere there was that thing with the 4 large divisions. They don't have program officers' names. They have portfolio names, and there will be some that have more or less what you're talking about. The kind or another social sciences, soft sciences, including white groups get together, become crazy and want to blow us up. We're interested in that too. So, and so is the rest of the military. Yeah, they're there. And you'd have to go. So if you went to look at our website, at our BAA, you would see portfolios that have names, or if they don't have the name, you look at it anyway, maybe all of a sudden you'll see that they are. And we do have people that do, the Pat Bradshaw, Dr. Bradshaw funds, stuff that includes wine and help ask them to so that they can process acoustic backscatter in ways that are novel to us. All kinds of stuff. It has to be of some interest to the Air Force that the program officer can defend if he's ever made to do so. And so there's not every biology under the sun, and we certainly aren't in the business of curing cancer. But, I remember when I first came to AFOSR back in '85, there was some real interest in jet lag. You get these people in these B-52s, they fly, dozens of hours, before they return to base. And so jet lag was a big problem. They wanted to know what the hell what they do about it, this, that, the other, how people's performance, people don't think the performance degraded, but it does. So there are biological type things, but they have to be of some concern to the Air Force. Jet lag is certainly one of them. And other things that people don't perform well when they need to, or this, or that, or the other. I remember we had a program, I don't know what happened, but it came to our attention that pit vipers could detect mice in the middle of the Death Valley. The desert's 100 degrees, the mouse is 105 degrees body temperature. They could find the distinct, they could survive. And didn't have cool IR detectors, which we did. The military was all these IR goggles have to be cool as far as that. And we had a program, what is this magic molecule that evolution has provided the pit viper with? Because we want to know about it to see if we can stick it in these things and not kill any of them. don't know whatever happened to that, but I thought it was a fascinating idea. That's the kind of thing you can tell the general is old, that sounds, as opposed to other biological things that we can't imagine why we use that. The funding research are going up very high in mountains. What happens when your oxygen doesn't work quite so well in a cockpit. So there were things that we were funding which by title actually made some sense.
Okay, unless there are other compelling questions, I think we'll break for lunch, right through that door, on the other side. Okay? Thank you very much.